Hey friends, have you been kicking the goads at all lately? Hey, it's Pastor Mike from Fellowship Church. Always good to connect with you with a midweek message. Hope you're loving this warm weather. Just know that we love you and we're praying for you. And here's my question for you again. Have you been kicking the goads lately? Maybe that saying is familiar to you, maybe not. In Bible days, there was something called a goad. A goad was a sharp-pointed stick. They used it with beasts of burden, particularly oxen. And the goad was part of the harness that the oxen were saddled up with when they were pulling a sled or pulling a plow or something. And if the oxen didn't like that little pointy stick that was kind of kicking them forward, they would kick against the goad. The problem is the goad was designed in such a way that when they kicked it, it actually poked them harder. So kicking against the goads became a way of saying, you thought you were accomplishing something good, but it was really something bad. You were mistaken. You thought you were doing A, but B was the result. Maybe you're familiar with that saying. Here's why it sticks in my head today. If you've been following our Lenten readings, you've probably come to the passage where Jesus was crucified. He was buried. We talked about Joseph of Arimathea last week. And after Jesus was buried, some of the chief priests and Pharisees, that is, religious leaders of their day, came to Pilate and said, we're really concerned that the disciples are going to steal his body and make it look like this whole resurrection thing happened. Can we seal the tomb instead, put some guards in front of it? And Pilate said, sounds like a great idea to me, go ahead and do that. Well, here's why that kind of makes sense to me today. The chief priests and the Pharisees, their best religious leaders, their pastors, thought they were doing the God thing, but they were doing something exactly opposite the God thing. They really were clueless as to what God was doing in the world. God was using the crucifixion and resurrection of Jesus to accomplish salvation for all people. The chief priests and Pharisees thought they were doing the right thing. They were doing exactly the wrong thing. So you could say they were kicking against the goads. But here's something I know. I've never met a person yet who really honestly believed they were kicking against the goads. Especially when it comes to God things, people believe they're doing the right thing. Nobody ever wakes up in the morning and says, you know, I think today's the day I'm going to work against God. Nobody thinks that way. But apparently for the chief priests and the Pharisees, it is possible. And if it was possible for them, you know something? It could be possible for me. That means that in order for people like me to keep from kicking against the goads, I've got to be talking to God on a regular basis to say, Lord, what are you doing here? I want to make sure I'm not doing something that makes sense to me, but is actually kicking against the goads to you. I just want to join you in what you're already doing. So friends, maybe it's a good time for you to get really honest with God and make sure that you're working with Him and not against Him. No kicking of the goads, friends. I hope that makes sense to you. It sure makes sense to me. Drives me to my knees in prayer. Just know that as we wrap up this Lent season, looking forward to Easter. Can't wait to celebrate with you. Know that we love you and we're praying for you continually. Take care. God bless. See you soon. Bye-bye.